as you embrace your spiritual and personal development journey, you may have come across shadow work. Maybe you're already dabbling with shadow work, or you really feel called to really dive deeper into shadow work. But you may also are a little concerned about how is this going to impact your relationships, the relationships with your loved ones, your close friends, and even with people that you surround yourself with, whether it's work related or just other people in your life. Now, shadow work is a powerful and necessary process in your spiritual development, inner healing, and personal development journey, because it's really about uncovering those hidden aspects, those limiting aspects that are actually holding you back in your life. It's so important to uncover them and heal and release them, and then also transcend them into something higher, so you can really step more into your power and become your authentic self. And yes, doing shadow work can both negatively and positively impact your relationships. And that's what I want to talk about in this video today. I want to give you some insights into both the good and the bad sides of doing shadow work and how it affects your relationships. But I do want to point out that even though there are some not so pleasant experiences and side effects, so to speak, with shadow work when it comes to relationships, the benefits of doing shadow work and the outcome of doing shadow work very much outweighs the difficulties and the unpleasant experiences, especially when it comes to relationships. So let me share with you a little bit more about how relationships are being impacted by doing shadow work. Now, on a more general level, I just want you to notice that once you start really diving into shadow work and uncovering those hidden aspects of yourself, and you start healing them, you start releasing them, you start really transcending them, you are going to change. And it's also going to change your interaction with other people as well. It also allows you to increase more self-awareness. So you're actually becoming more aware of even other people's shadow aspects, how they're showing up, how maybe misaligned you have been with them, and things like that. So your whole interaction with people will be impacted through shadow work. But now let me talk a little bit more about the positive aspects. I want to start with the positive aspects of doing shadow work and how your relationships can be positively impacted by doing shadow work. And then after that, I'll talk about the negative sides. But let's start out with the positive sides of doing shadow work and how it's going to positively impact your relationships. First and foremost, as you're really diving into shadow work, it improves your self-awareness. So you're actually becoming more aware when you're being triggered, when someone is triggering you, and also how you're then responding to it. Because when you're becoming more aware of what's triggering you, instead of you just kind of reacting to it and kind of jumping on it, you're then also becoming aware, like, oh, I'm being triggered. So hold on, let me just kind of see what's going on here. And then you can respond in a better way. That's really a beautiful thing when it comes to shadow work. You're gaining greater self-awareness so you can respond in a higher way rather than just constantly reacting. That then also then positively impacts your relationships, because if previously or up until this point, you have had a lot of arguments with people because you're constantly in reaction mode when someone says something, when someone does something, and you're just more reacting or you're triggered quite easily. Doing shadow work, increasing your self-awareness will then help you not so much react, but more so respond in a higher way. So self-awareness is huge here, because then you can respond in a higher way, because that then creates better communication, also empathy with other people as well, because as you're tuning in, as you're becoming more aware, you can then respond in a higher way. Then secondly, you also then set healthier boundaries, because as you're really doing your own work, as you're really becoming aware of your own inner triggers, your own inner limitations and shadow aspects, you're then actually learning a lot more about yourself. You're also becoming more empowered to then also set more clear boundaries, which then also creates better relationship dynamics. So you're no longer codependent on other people and what they say and what they do and all of any of those things, but you're really more so empowered. You're really more so your own person, and you're more able to then set those clear boundaries and saying no more often, and saying no when you actually want to say no, and only saying yes when you want to say yes. And that's really a powerful thing when it comes to shadow work and when it comes to relationship. That also then really sets those clear boundaries within those relationships as well. So people don't just walk all over you, but you're saying, no, I'm not available to those things. Right? So having then those healthier boundaries then also creates better relationship dynamics as well, because then other people know they can't just walk all over you. And then another positive aspect is, as you're really diving deeper into emotional healing, you're healing those past wounds, especially when it comes to certain people in your life. That then also creates healthier relationships as well. Because if you have been holding on to some grudges maybe, or maybe that person said something or did something a long time ago and it still kind of bothers you, as you're really uncovering those things and healing them and clearing them, then you also have a better relationship with these people, because you no longer are holding on to a negative charge around whatever happened, whether it was something quite intensely or just something simple that you don't even know why you're still upset about this. But as you're really diving deeper into this emotional healing, which is part of shadow work, you're really creating better relationship dynamics and just better connection with the people that you're surrounding yourself with, because you're letting go of a lot of these deep inner wounds. And not just wounds around that other person, but just in general. If you're having emotional wounds around rejection, abandonment, and things like that, as you're healing them and clearing them, you're opening yourself also up more to having deeper, more profound connections with other people. No longer the above the surface kind of connections, but really those deep inner connections with other people. And this is because you're really healing deeply. You're then also no longer reacting in a limited way about certain things that other people do or other people say, because you have released that emotional charge of what used to trigger you. And another positive impact is authenticity and vulnerability. When you're becoming more authentic through shadow work, you're developing greater authenticity, where you no longer hide behind certain masks. You're really your authentic self. That also then creates a more authentic relationship with other people too, a more genuine and fulfilling connection with other people. And in terms of vulnerability, especially vulnerability with your close friends and close loved ones, then also increases that emotional intimacy and trust. And another beautiful positive impact on your relationship is your personal empowerment, because as you're doing shadow work, as you're really healing and clearing and you're really uncovering your true authentic self, you're becoming more empowered, more self-assured, more confident. And that also then shows up how you're then interacting with other people. Because if maybe up until this point you have been kind of holding back, more like in the background, kind of like that tiny little quiet mouse in the background, maybe you haven't really been speaking up for yourself. The more shadow work you do, you become more empowered, and you're also standing up for yourself. You are more empowered, you are more confident, you are more self-assured. And then you can actually also go after certain things, let's say asking for promotion, and you may not even get the promotion, or maybe if you feel called to maybe ask someone out on a date or whatnot, right? And they may then actually say yes, because they feel how more empowered you are, how self-assured and confident you are. And here, not from an ego-driven kind of point of view, but really from a deeply authentic point of view, you're really just standing in your power. So these are all the positive sides of doing shadow work and how they can positively impact your relationships. Now, let me touch on now the negative aspects of shadow work and how it negatively can impact and affect your relationships. Now, of course, in the beginning, there's probably resistance. Your loved ones, your people that you surround yourself with, your friends, they may not understand what you're actually doing. They may not get why all of a sudden you are quite moody, because as you're doing shadow work, you are uncovering a lot. So your mood may change. You may get a little, more triggered at times, because you're really diving deep into the trenches of uncovering all these things. So there may be a lot of resistance and misunderstanding from your loved ones, from your friends, from the people that you surround yourself with. So they may not necessarily support you all that good, and they may actually are wondering, why are you doing what you're doing? Which then creates more discomfort within the relationships. Now, this can also actually impact the boundaries that you have, because as you're then setting new boundaries, the people around you, they may not feel comfortable with it, because they're so used to the lack of your boundaries prior. And as you're then setting more clear boundaries, they may not feel very comfortable with those boundaries, because they can't then just walk all over you no more like maybe they have up until this point. So there may then also be some resistance around that as well. Some challenges around that, where they may even argue with you about the new boundaries that you're setting, because that will then inconvenience them. It's helping you, but it's an inconvenience for them in the beginning, until they're really getting used to your more empowered self, how you're really showing up more empowered, and you're setting those clear boundaries. And yes, there are also going to be those emotional turbulence times as you're really going through this, which then can also be a bit of a strain on the relationships, because if you're really going through a lot and you're going through a lot of emotional ups and downs, of course, it's going to impact your relationships in the beginning, because you are not a happy, joyful person because, well, you are doing shadow work, which then may cause your friends and your family feel quite overwhelmed because they don't really know what's going on, what you're going through, how to help you. They may even, like I said, they may even be wondering, well, why are you doing this? What's going on? Why are you so emotional at times? And this then can also create some shifts in the dynamics of these relationships, of these connections that you have, because as you're really growing more empowered, the dynamics are going to change. If up until this point you may have been more so the bystander and letting people really kind of decide for you or things like that, or you didn't really have many boundaries and things like that, and you also had a lot of wounds that you were dealing with and whatnot that were really holding you back, you were playing small, maybe not speaking up for yourself, and then all of a sudden you're becoming more empowered, you're more self-confident, you're speaking up for yourself, you're setting those clear boundaries, you're asking for what you want, all of those things, you're really showing more in that more empowered, more authentic way. Well, that can cause challenges in the dynamics of any relationships because it's new to the people that you surround yourself with. So there can be some disruptions, some challenges that you may experience. But like I mentioned in the beginning, even though there are some negative side effects of doing shadow work, and especially as it relates to your relationships, the good, the positive effects, the outcomes of doing shadow work, how you then really grow more empowered and how you then coming out on the other end definitely outweighs the challenges, because the challenges, they're going to be short-lived. Yes, in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, as you're going through this, and until people really realize that you're doing some deep inner work. And here you may actually want to explain to them, like, look, I'm doing some deep inner shadow work. I'm working through some stuff right now. Please be understanding, right? You may want to talk to them and let them know what you're doing, right? And just ask for their support, ask for their understanding. Now, they may not be able to support you all that great in the beginning. And like I said, there's going to be some friction, there's going to be some challenges, but it's going to be short-lived because it's going to inconvenience them. And anything that inconvenience another person, of course, they're going to not be happy with that. So there's going to be a short time of conflict, of friction, of challenges, but still, those challenges or whatnot are well worth it once you come out on the other side. Because doing shadow work, you really uncover who you are. You're healing deeply. You're really becoming your true, authentic self. And I would say that definitely outweighs any of those little challenges that you may experience along the way, or that you most likely will experience along the way. So here you go. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, that it gave you some insights into how your relationships are being impacted, both on the good side and the not so pleasant side. But I really hope that you're going to continue on this journey, because it will definitely be absolutely empowering for you to really rediscover who you are, heal deeply, and step into your empowered, most authentic self. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button. Also, be sure to check out these two videos here. One is about how to really get started with shadow work, and another one is about how shadow work is really key in your emotional healing. I think you're going to enjoy both of those. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, make an amazingly abundant and joyful day. Namaste.